right, you know how we do it. Let me move my table over a little. Kayla, morning. No, it's Andrea. Good morning to Danny. Good morning to everybody. SM King Turd was here, it looks like. You know we like to wait for the sound, so just give me a minute and we'll get off to business. You can always hear Lady and the Legend on Sundays, too. We'll be here back at 9 o'clock, and you can hear Happy Hour Social Club with King Hap and Taco and the wonderful Happy Hour Social Club friends and family over at Twitch, or you can come here right on the website here at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com/live, and you can find a link to the Twitch page for Happy Hour Social Club, which we love. And so that's what I like to do. I like to do a couple of commercials here before, like Lumpo soap, but I don't know it.
It doesn't lather.
It doesn't lather.
It doesn't foam.
It doesn't foam.
It just keeps you company in the tub.
Who takes a bath these days, Leonard? Do you take baths?
Yes.
Okay. Say hi to everyone.
No, don't start with me. I'm not here, remember?
You're here. I don't
here.
know what I'd do without you, Leonard.
Yes, you do. But sound is perfect, but it's not on yet. So.
I don't see the sound yet. Just 1 minute, everybody. You can always fast forward on Spreaker.
Still the 13th.
No big deal. Is Malpal here yet?
No, he's not.
There we go. Sound is good.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Danny could hear us. That's crazy. You get the sound before we do.
He keeps
No lather. It just keeps you company in the tub.
Yeah, that's it.
Welcome aboard, everybody. Rotorius, good to see you. Danny Fuller, Chris from Cambridge, SM King Turd. Where's Malpal? Where's Tina? Must be sleeping in over there on the West Coast.
There you go.
Sound is great. Let's get started. Where's Boston Paul? He sent me a nugget this morning and he's not here. Let me see what's up with Boston Paul. He sent me a good nugget and I want to read that, but I won't read it without him in there. Okay, triple play. Great to see you.
Chris from Cambridge.
Let's get started. The Philadelphia Phillies, the Texas Rangers, and the Houston Astros all won 90 games this season. If the Phillies beat the Diamondbacks, which I think they will have the home field advantage in the World Series over the Astros. But if the Rangers beat the Astros, then the Rangers get home field advantage over the Phillies. So that's because... let's see. If the Phillies were to advance to the World Series, they would have the home field advantage over Houston due to winning the season series, and the Rangers would have over Philly. All three finished 90 and 72. Good to see you, Boston Paul. Bobby K. Okay, one of my favorite people. One of my favorite families. I just love seeing Bobby Kleinow on Facebook with his wonderful kids. Such a great feeling seeing you guys, and it's great to see you. And say hello to the young ones. You got 3 kids now. Unbelievable, but it's such a beautiful family, and you just brighten my day whenever I see you. So thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming to have coffee with me. Meryl's here. Everybody's here. 12 people. We'll get more. They like to stream in a little late on Saturdays. But great to see you, Bobby K. The Phillies are 26-11 all-time in postseason games at Citizen Bank Park. That's a 70% win percentage. It's the best win percentage in MLB postseason history. The Phillies, all right, so we got to give Lenny some credit right now. We got to give Lenny some credit for saying the Phillies early, like at the beginning of the season. And I must say, This Bryce Harper, man, nobody is better baseball player instinctually than Bryce Harper. And nobody hustles harder than Bryce Harper. And there is no better leader in baseball than Bryce Harper. There's no doubt about that. You might argue with me. It's your opinion against mine, I guess. But when you see Harper out there, this guy is... He doesn't just hit. He doesn't just play first base. He's the leader on this team, and it's very apparent. So the Phillies are the last team that I would want to face in the World Series, and it all revolves around Bryce Harper. He didn't have a great season because he came back from Tommy John. He was the quickest player ever back from Tommy John, and they took it easy with him, playing him at DH. He took a while to get it together. Right now, he is using his A game. I think he is on top of the world. He doesn't feel any pressure. I saw a quote from him about how he left high school when he was 16 years old to play baseball. He traveled. He was on a travel team with Vegas. And there was a lot of pressure on Harper, just like there's a lot of pressure on any of these top youngsters. And he said all that pressure is behind him now, and he is just at his A game, I'll say that.
Laura and Leonard Donaldson.
Laura's here. Great to see you, Laura. Can't wait to meet you at the diner sometime in the near future. And who else, Leonard?
Leonard Donaldson.
Leonard Donaldson. Great to see you. Your Houston Astros look like they might be headed to the World Series, but if they could beat the Rangers, which I don't think they can. The Rangers have such momentum right now, and I don't, say what you will about Max Scherzer. I saw a note from SM King Turd earlier this morning. He said he doesn't really know what to make of Max Scherzer. And he says, I guess I love him. He proves me wrong and dogpile him hard if I have to see the tough guys stomping around, followed by 5 earned runs. All right, well... What about Eovaldi, though? Nobody's talking about Eovaldi. And I'll tell you what, this guy has excellent postseason stats. He's made it the top 15 in strikeout percentage 3 out of the last 6 seasons. And, I mean, this is all time. This is an all-time strikeout percentage in the playoffs. He ranks in 3 different spots in the top 15 just in 3 of the past 6 years. And he is such a underrated playoff guy. I would not draft him on my team in the regular season because you never know what's going to happen with his age, his injuries. But I'll tell you what, there's something to be said about veterans in the playoffs, and you might be without Jake DeGrom, you might be without Max Scherzer, but this Eovaldi is no joke. Montgomery is no joke. Okay, and Bochy is no joke. We watched Bochy take this team, and yes, they invested heavily. They built their team, so it's not just Bochy, but anybody that thinks that a manager doesn't have an influence on how well their team does, just go ahead and take a look at Bochy. This guy, I was watching MLB this morning, and they were talking about Bochy in 2012. They were talking about what he did with Lincecum and what he did with his other pitchers. And when the game was on the line, Bochy acted and did not hesitate. And he made some crazy moves. He put Lincecum in the bullpen. He started with an opener one day. But his pitchers get the job done. So I'm rooting for Texas Rangers. I'm rooting for Philly. I think this year has been excellent. So one good thing, too, is that the Phillies, there's a real good chance that Rhys Hoskins returns on Monday night. Now, the next games are going to be, is there a game tomorrow, I think, is game 1. Yeah. It's going to be the Rangers against the Astros. I believe that's tomorrow. And then Monday, the Phillies will play. Max Scherzer says he's good to go. Will Bochy put him in the bullpen? I told you once already that Bochy has been known to make some strange moves with his pitching in the postseason, but it's worked out for him, and I give him a lot of credit. And Harper, everywhere, every time, hustling around. He's the best player in baseball. instinctually, I mean, look, he didn't put up the best numbers, so that obviously is not what I'm basing this on. But as far as instinct, leadership, veteran presence, he's got it all. Okay.
Rangers and the Astros tomorrow at Houston.
The Rangers and the Astros tomorrow at Houston. We know Verlander's pitching game 1, but they have not said who is going to pitch for the Rangers. I get confused with which team Verlander went. I know Scherzer went to the Rangers, Verlander went to the Astros, and King Turd, the big Texas Ranger fan, and he is not shy to say that he sure wishes he had Verlander instead of Scherzer.
Montgomery against Verlander tomorrow.
Montgomery against Verlander. What are we going to do about Buxton next year? He underwent knee surgery. He's expected to be ready by spring training. How much are we paying for Buxton? I will say this. He had a 304 at-bats this past season, and I know he only played in 85 games, but this guy has not played in more than 85 games in the last 5 years, not one time. And what you get out of him is so good when he's playing that he tempts you every time. But I'll tell you what, even though he hasn't played more than 85 games in 5 years, his value in fantasy goes up and down every year, depending on at what point in the season did he get hurt and what numbers he was able to put up. In 2022, he hit 28 home runs and stole 6 bases, and his batting average wasn't great, but his on-base percentage was okay. It was .306. His batting average was .224, and that's why Buxton was not that cheap in 2023. Okay, he was not that cheap, but this year coming up, I'm sorry, I'm still not off the Byron Buxton. All right, I can't knock him. I just can't. This year he only hit 17 home runs, but he did steal 9 bases. His batting average was the worst. .207 batting average, .294 on-base percentage, which tells me that even people in on-base percentage leagues are going to pass on Buxton. And once again, his price will go down good enough to be so tempting. Because I'll tell you what, there's nobody more exciting at the beginning of the season when he's healthy than Byron Buxton. He just comes out with everything is blazing hot for him. And I would say the best thing you could do with Buxton is get him real cheap, absorb some of his stats, then sell him about a third of the way through the season when he's still doing good. And you know, that's all luck because timing is everything with this guy. Now. Oh, look at the chat room just going. We love it. Let's see. It's hard to pass on Buxton. I know it is. Danny, great to see you. Hello to Penny. Hello to Boston Paul. Hello to Diana. Let's see. Let's talk about what Boston Paul sent me this morning. A little tidbit here. There was a female pitcher that once struck out Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, and her name is Jackie Mitchell. She was 17 years old. Jackie Mitchell pitched against the New York Yankees on April 2nd, 1931. She faced both Ruth and Lou Gehrig and struck them both out. And she became the Depression era's overnight sensation. What?
I never heard that.
Do you like it?
I love it.
Okay, thank you. Spencer Strider is 0-3 in 3 career playoff games. Yes, he's a failure so far in the playoffs. Didn't have a great season either, unless depends on what stat you're looking at. But he's the 3rd pitcher to play the same opponent in each of his first 3 postseason appearances and earn the loss in all 3. The Phillies, they have 24 home runs over their last 10 home playoff games dating back to last season. It's the most home runs over a span of 10 home games in MLB postseason history. Don't mess with the Phillies in the playoff at home. I'll tell you that, okay? Buxton will have a good season the moment his value is near free, and then he will greatly disappoint people right after when the cost goes back up. It's so true. Good morning to Zelmo. Good morning to Tony. The Diamondbacks are in the National League Championship Series for the first time since 2007 and the 3rd time in franchise history. Not very many people gave them a chance, but tomorrow is going to be game 1. Wait, tomorrow? No, tomorrow is a game 1, Astros, Rangers, Verlander, Montgomery. And then Monday you'll have Gallen Merrill Kelly will pitch game 2, and Brandon Pfaadt will go game 3. They haven't decided game 4 yet, obviously. Corbin Carroll, playoff postseason numbers: .412 batting average, 2 home runs, 6 runs, a 1.389 OPS, and a .565 on-base percentage. This guy stole 54 bases this season. Corbin Carroll, look, can I just give you a warning real quick? This guy was tremendous this year. There's no doubt about it. There's a good chance that he doesn't even come close to this next year, okay? There's a good chance of that. Now, I know a lot of you won't trust me, and you're going to draft this guy in the first round because you're going to see a 5-tool player here, and I agree with that, but there's no chance that me personally would take Corbin Carroll where he's going to be drafted over guys like Jose Ramirez and even Bryce Harper. Awful news for the Milwaukee Brewers. They lost Brandon Woodruff. Is that big of a surprise, though? Honestly, is that very big? They are going to lose him for the whole 2024 season after undergoing surgery to repair the anterior capsule in his right shoulder. Was it a bad trade to Arizona sending Gabriel Moreno? And King Turd says it was a terrible trade. Yes, I agree. But not as bad as the Mets trades. Okay. All right. In 2023, every team had a winning record in games that they lead at the end of the first inning, except one team. Which team? This is the genius of the day. In 2023, every team but one had a winning record in games they led at the end of the first inning. There's one team that did not have a winning record with games that they were ahead in the first inning. The Blue Jays are 10-2 the last 3 seasons against teams that would go on to win the World Series. Teams that had a losing record in 2023 against teams that finished in last place. Of course, it's the Mets, the Yankees, Kansas City, Oakland Athletics, and the Chicago White Sox. Chris from Cambridge, nice to see you. He says that he can see Varsho having a better batting numbers next year. Call it the jitters. Young man traded to another league, new players, different country. Canada? Well, I don't know if it counts for Canadians as much as it counts for like Japanese and Koreans, but Varsho was way overpriced last year, and that was based on the fact that he played more than just catcher, and people love to be able to stick a guy that actually plays the outfield in their catching spot because typically these guys will get a lot more at-bats and a lot more opportunity. But Varsho was very much disappointing, and I will say this, there are sure a lot of good catchers. We haven't seen this many catchers that are fantasy relevant in a long time. SM King Turd says that he wishes Carroll's shoulder was a non-issue. That'll be in the back of his mind when he drafts next year. Now, the one team was the White Sox. The only team in baseball that doesn't have a winning record when they led after the first inning is the White Sox. The longest active winning streak for any MLB team against an opponent is the Rangers with a 12-game winning streak against the Phillies, and it dates all the way back to 2014. The Diamondbacks are playing the Phillies. The number of wins, they each have 10 in their last 20 games. They each have 40 in their last 80 games, and they each have 75 in their last 150 games. That is unbelievable tidbit. If you didn't hear me, in the last 20 games, both the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Phillies have 10 wins. In their last 80 games, both of the teams have 40, and in their last 150 games, each of the teams have 75. You would think by those numbers that this is going to be a very good matchup, but I have to say, I don't know how anybody can beat the Phillies at this point. Nick Castellanos became the first player in postseason history with multiple home runs in consecutive games. The only other players in postseason history with 4 home runs in a 2-game span are Reggie Jackson in 1977 and Bob Robertson in 1971. For the first time since 2005, batters had a higher OPS in the division series round than in the regular season. Of course, in 2005, there was no wild card game, let alone a wild card series in each league. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Well, we're going to continue what we started last week, which is next year's free agents. And Malpel is still sleeping, but Laura and Mary are here. That's good enough. I don't appreciate people that sleep in past 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. Just kidding. Okay, sip of coffee. Did we talk about Kevin Kiermaier last week? Outstanding defender, center fielder. Questions about health for this guy and his offense. I mean, really, the main drawbacks to Kevin Kiermaier have remained the same throughout his career. He's absolutely certain to miss games, especially as he ages further into his mid-30s, and he's not certain to be an asset offensively. He did steal 14 bases this past season, and his on-base percentage is fairly good with a .322 on-base percentage, a .265 batting average. He stole more than... Well, he got double-digit steals for the first time since 2019 when he had 19, and he was only caught one time. He was successful 14 times. That's a good stolen base success rate. He is going to be 34 next year, so that's the big question. But as far as offensive, I hate to dog on him too much because... Yes, he's going to miss time, but he did get 408 plate appearances this year. He played in 129 games. He's going to cost you $1 or $2. When you get $1 or $2 player that won't hurt you or kill you in average or on base percentage, and he's going to steal some bases, maybe a handful, maybe 10, but he's reliable in that sense. So, yes, he's not the big, flashy power hitter. So we'll see. I mean, his contact rate went up this past year from 70 to 76.8. His batting average on balls in play is right around 300, so it looks normal. His strikeout percentage went down quite a bit playing for Toronto rather than Tampa Bay. He's played in Tampa Bay his whole career until he got traded last year to Toronto, and it looks like it actually helped him out. He got a lot more playing time and a lot more opportunity. And like I said, his strikeout rate is not bad. It's 21% in Toronto, but it did change a lot from Tampa Bay to Toronto. So we'll see where he ends up. This is the type of guy that if he ends somewhere in a place like Colorado or a nice home run park, he's going to be better than if he ends up in a place like Miami. He's not a home run hitter anyway. But
Eddie Heckman's here, Big Al's here.
He does walk quite a bit, and that's what keeps his on-base percentage up there. What do you think about Kevin Kiermaier? Does it matter what team he goes to? Big Al on the prowl is here. Good morning to Eddie. Eddie sent me a text, Leonard. He's going to be in San Diego for the next 2 weeks, so he's going to be missing out. But I bet he'll come in anyway, because he'll be up at 6 a.m. All right. Great to see you. Nice to see you. Mitchell Hartson, Merrill Hartson, the Hartson brothers. Wonderful to have you aboard. Thanks for joining me today. Neat thing about Whit Merrifield's home runs, no uppercut swing. He's a line drive hitter who can hit absolute missiles over the fence. Whit Merrifield, that's coming from a guy who steals a lot of bases, right? So that's interesting. That's from Chris. Sonny Gray, I think this guy, honestly, I look at this guy's stats and I say to myself, holy moly, I think he's going to be one of the best pitchers again next year. His strikeout percentage went down a little bit. Okay, fine. What did it go down to? It went down to 8.95 per 9, which is, I remember when I first started playing fantasy baseball, I would look for guys with 9 per 9 strikeouts, and that was an excellent pitcher. Nowadays, you got guys throwing so hard, it's almost just normal. But here's the deal with Sonny Gray. He doesn't throw hard. His fastball averages 92.9 miles an hour, which is up from last year. I love a 92.9 mile an hour fastball because a guy can stay healthy. All right. You got a healthy guy when you throw a low 90s fastball. You don't have to be too scared of Tommy John surgery, although it has been known to happen. But guys like Sonny Gray, guys like Zach Gallen, these are guys that stay healthy and they're workhorses year after year because of the fact that they don't throw 99 miles an hour and they don't throw their arm out. Another thing I love about Sonny Gray, great spin rate, 2536 RPMs. That's amazing considering he doesn't throw 99 miles an hour. The spin rate is tough to get that high if you're not throwing that hard. Also, Sonny Gray, a ton of ground ball inducing pitches from him. 47.3% ground ball rate. You gotta love it. His FIP is always consistent with his ERA. They're both right. His FIP is 2.82 and his ERA is 2.79. He hardly ever allows a home run. 0.39 homers per 9 innings. This guy is a master at keeping the ball in the field. Not only that, but he's done this. He's had a home run per 9 rate under 1 5 out of the last 6 years. This guy does not allow home runs, no doubt about it. His walk problem, it's not a problem. He does not walk too many batters. 2.69 walks per 9. Compare that to your boy Blake Snell, and I guarantee that Sonny Gray is a better pitcher, a better target for your fantasy dollars than Blake Snell will ever be. He is turning 34 this offseason, but since 2019, he's posted a better ERA plus than Luis Castillo, Zach Gallen, Zach Wheeler, and many others who are held in higher regard. So this guy could be in line to receive a deal similar to the 3-year, $63 million pack that Chris Bassett got last season. I'm getting Andrea, no San Diego. Okay, all right. Next stop, Rapid City. Is that in South Dakota? Oh, South Dakota. Are you going to see Mount Rushmore, my friend?
He's in the airport.
I see you. Now, Eddie, I'm sorry about that. I got confused when you put SD. So, anyway, I'm glad you're at the airport and everything's going good. You're going to get to go see Mount Rushmore. I hope you and Teresa take a minute to go up the road from Mount Rushmore to Deadwood. It's one of the best places that Lenny and I have gone to on our road trips around the country. They have these old hotels. They have gun fights in the street for fun, But anyway, Eddie, hope you have a great time. All right. Oh, you're going south of Mount Rushmore. I think Deadwood is east. Rhys Hoskins, who could come back on Monday, missed a year, the whole year. He went through live batting practice just a few days ago, and I'm telling you, this guy, what's he going to go for next year? He's a free agent. I think he's hoping that he can get his future contract up by playing excellent this postseason. He's 30 years old now. It's strange to say that Rhys Hoskins is 30 years old, but he did miss the whole season. He tore his ACL in March. He's amassed a 120 OPS plus or better in 5 of his last 6 seasons. He's a right first baseman on the wrong side of 30, and teams don't need to look further than Jose Abreu to see how quickly that profile can crater. But to be fair, Abreu is significantly older than Hoskins, and when Abreu was Hoskins' age, he was still crushing it, okay? And also, when you're talking about age, you think about speedy guys, because the stolen base and the speed are the first thing to go. The power you can have till you're 35, 36 years old. Rhys Hoskins isn't going anywhere. He's bound to get a good contract. I really hope for the best with him this postseason. Of course, he's on the Phillies, which I'm rooting for too. Where does Josh Hader go? I sure wish Malpal was here for Josh Hader. San Diego relief pitcher, probably the best reliever on the open market. He's got an excellent oddball sinker. He throws his sinker with a standard grip, but it possesses the backspin of a four-seam fastball. His sinker led the majors in induced vertical break, despite him releasing the ball several inches lower than anyone else in the top 10, which creates an optical illusion that batters have not solved on a consistent basis. Plunking down 20 plus million a year on a closer isn't for every team, and some suitors might raise their eyebrows at Hader's strikeout and walk rates moving in the wrong direction, but it's really hard to knock Hader's results. And once again, Hader was, well, I'm going to say, in my opinion, Hader was still the best closer in baseball last year, because you look at his stats, and I mean, his whip is under 1. His ERA is like 1 something. I mean, I don't have his numbers in front of me, but Hader, all right. Thank you, Chris from Cambridge. It takes lots of practice. I just keep practicing and keep trying to get better, but thank you for the nice compliment. King Turd says he would say that Soto is his favorite two-strike guy. They explained it so well in the famous AB versus JV in the World Series. I don't know what that means. All right, you guys just keep on talking. Hoskins may be back for the World Series according to Triple Play. That's right. He could come back on Monday, actually. So I would expect to see him in the World Series if the Phillies make it. No doubt about it. He's working hard to get back. Here's one for you. Number 15 on the free agent list. Jung-Hoo Lee, center fielder. All right, Lee's secondary and bat-to-ball skills are MLB ready, but he fractured his ankle in July, ending his season and hindering his ability to further audition for MLB scouts. He's regarded as a plus runner and defender, and he's demonstrated bat-to-ball skills. He had a 91% contact rate this season, including a 97% contact rate against fastballs. This guy crushes fastballs. He's a Korean baseballer. I could have told you that at the beginning so you would know who I'm talking about. He's a Korean guy. Jung-Hoo Lee, center fielder. According to data obtained by CBS Sports, this guy has a 97% contact rate against fastballs, so don't expect many pitchers to throw him any. But he did have a 91% contact rate overall. He's not a huge slugger. 23 of his 65 career home runs came in 2022. And teams always have concerns about how Korean hitters will fare against MLB pitching. But you do see recent success from Ha-Sung Kim in San Diego. That was Lee's former teammate. And we'll see what happens with this guy. You know, teams are always clamoring for these foreigners to come. Now, would you start Hoskins? Hasn't played since early May, right? What position does he play? First base? What would happen to... I guess he would probably be put in at the DH role. But it's an interesting question. I would say that they will for sure play him if he's ready. Maybe not the whole game, but he's getting in the ball game, definitely. I'll tell you what. Look at these pitchers for Texas. The Rangers ALCS. Every time I'm watching this on the TV as I'm doing this. Andrew Haney, Jordan Montgomery, Dane Dunning, John Gray, Max Scherzer, Eovaldi, all of these pitchers. I'm telling you what, Texas Rangers, you might think they don't have deep pitching. I already said this earlier, but not all of you were here. I will tell you that Eovaldi is a monster in the playoffs, and Bochy knows how to work it. I'm rooting for them. Moving back to the free agents for next year. Number 16 on the list. It's not pronounced Jung. It's pronounced Young. Thank you very much. I should have known that, right? Since Josh Young is pronounced Josh Young and not Jung. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get it wrong. I'm just a stupid American. Heimer Candelario, third base and first base. Nothing flashy, but he can hit, and he does play third and first base. He's a fastball hunter who has posted a well above average OPS plus in 3 of his last 4 seasons. He set new career highs in both home runs and stolen bases in 2023, but he's not the most dynamic power speed threat.
Chris Gallo.
Good morning to Chris and Debbie Gallo. Defensively, Candelario seems like he's probably going to return to third base after playing first base for the Cubs out of deference to Nick Madrigal. Candelario's arm is stretched at the hot corner, so it's possible he makes the move to first on a permanent basis at some point. And how can anybody say where he's going to play when we don't know what team he's going to be on? Age 30. He does qualify at both first and third. He's played 21 times at first base and 115 times at third. So for fantasy purpose, I can say that he is probably qualifying at both spots. Harrison Bader. How many times have we talked about this guy, right? Center fielder. How old is this guy? Harrison Bader. Let's look at his... I don't have his age here. Maybe it's in my notes. Outstanding secondary skills are obscured by his substandard bat. He did set a new career high in stolen bases this year. He has well above average speed and arm strength, which makes him a great defensive player. He's not nearly as enticing at the plate, but he did pretty good at Yankees. He launches the ball about the same angle as Jorge Soler, Matt Chapman, J.D. Martinez, and a slew of other sluggers who make much, much more contact. He would probably be better flattening his swing plane and leveraging his wheels. A weak center field crop should still leave him in demand. All right, 44 runs, 7 home runs, 20 stolen bases. He was only caught 3 times. His average is .232. His on-base percentage is below .300, which is always a huge red flag, .274. But Bader, his defensive skills will get him onto a team. Now, speaking of Jorge Soler, DH, 32, 137 games played, 580 plate appearances, 77 runs, 36 home runs, 75 RBIs, a .250 batting average, and to top everything off with a little cherry, his on-base percentage, .341. All right? Holy moly, Soler had an excellent season. The last time he hit that many home runs was in Kansas City in 2019. Do you remember when he hit 48? This guy is capable of another 80-run, 80 RBI, 35 homer season. His batting average will not kill you anymore. Although I wish I had some more. I would take a look at his. What I'm going to do, since I didn't do it for the show, but what I'm going to look at is his contact rate, his strikeout percentage, because I will say, plus his batting average over the past 3 years straight was never higher than .228. And in 2022, his batting average was .207. And his on-base percentage was .295. Now, he was playing for Miami last year, so I don't know what caused such an increase in his average and his on-base percentage, but I like it. He's the third Marlins player since Gary Sheffield in 1996 to launch at least 35 home runs. His power has reliably ranked near the top of the league in maximum exit velocity. He improved upon his strikeout and contact rates for the second time in a handful of years, resulting in career best marks in both categories. He's not Arias. You would not expect him to be Arias, but his improved ability to put the bat on the ball, combined with his elite strength and above-average strike zone command, has made him a more well-rounded hitter. Number 19 on the list. Jock Peterson, DH, 32. Outfielder, is he 37 or 32? This is the thing. Here's his information. He hits righties, okay? We've known that. His batting average against right-handed batters is always better than it is against lefties. Now, how bad is it against lefties? I'll tell you this much. 121 games this past season. He bats in the middle of the lineup. They batted this guy 5th or 6th in the lineup for 121 games. He had 84 hits this past year in San Francisco. A 235 batting average, but hear this, my friends, a 348 on-base percentage makes him excellent in on-base percentage leagues. He still hit 15 home runs. Now, he wasn't able to replicate the success that he had in 2022, but he continues to blister the ball, ranking in the top 8% of leagues in both average and maximum exit velocity. He walked more than he had last year since his earliest season, and he did that while reducing his strikeout rate, okay? The guy still walks 13.4% of the time, all right? His contact rate is 75.1%. That's against both lefties and righties, so there's not a problem here with this contact rate. I love the fact that he can get on base. He takes a walk, and this is what saves his on-base percentage. But he's only striking out 20% of the time, which in this day and age, my friend, okay, he runs like hell. He can't run. He's like Big Papi out there or Bartolo Colon on the base path. So don't expect this guy to run, okay? But you can bet your bottom dollar he's going to get a job. He shouldn't even be allowed to play defense, though, so it's going to hurt his free agent value, right? He isn't somebody that you want to put in any kind of outfield because, like I said, he runs like Big Papi. He's a DH guy, but that doesn't matter anymore because every team has a DH. Number 20 on the list. Justin Turner, another DH, right? But here's the deal with Justin Turner. Now, you're going to love it if you play at Yahoo Leagues because he played 7 times at third base, 10 times at second base, and 41 times at first base, which means if you play at Yahoo, this guy qualifies at first, second, and third, just like he did like 5 years ago. I remember it so clearly when Justin Turner qualified at every infield base. His bat and zone control still remain top-notch even as age and miles limit his secondary value. But at this point in Justin Turner's career, it's safe to write him off as a factor both defensively and still on the base paths. He's really good at making contact and commanding the zone. He does have age and health-related issues, but Turner showed no problems with velocity, and it wasn't because he cheated and left himself vulnerable to off-speed pitches. If he wants to keep playing, he should find a welcoming home somewhere as a DH and an occasional first baseman. In 146 games in 2023, 626 at-bats, he still bats second or third in the lineup, which you have to love. And that's because he has such good command. That's because he has such great plate discipline, and that does not change. He hit over 20 home runs, 23 to be exact. He still steals bases, 4 bases stolen last year. He only got caught 1 time. 276 batting average and a 345 on base percentage. This guy is a dream come true, okay, in Yahoo Leagues because he'll be able to play first, second, and third no matter where he goes. And I would say that the chances are good that he's not going to have a lot of wear and tear because he's going to be used as a first baseman or a DH. Now, good morning to Malpal. Great for you and Tina to join us this Saturday morning. Wonderful to see you. All right. Of course, Danny, the Dodger fan, is trying to root for Arizona. Oh, no. He wants to go to Arizona and take in some spring training games. That would be good. If we can get there, that would be great. But aren't you rooting for Arizona anyways? I think you said that yesterday. Good luck with them to beat the Phillies, but you never know. They have a lot of same records. Yes, Yahoo. Zelmo says Yahoo. Yes, Yahoo. All right. JD Martinez, DH, advanced age and increased strikeout rate. They cast some justifiable doubt on his future performance. I can't remember, but it was in the draft last year at some point. I texted Malpal. I said, JD Martinez or this other person? And he said, well, if you're looking for, lightning in a bottle, you should probably take JD Martinez. I think I opted against JD Martinez, of course. Probably took somebody that got suspended and never played a day of baseball in the whole season. Probably Rhys Hoskins. Do you remember that, Malpel? Okay. Just put forth another monster season at the plate with the Dodgers. A few hints of decline in his game as he heads into his age 36 season, and most notably decline is he struck out a career worst 45% of his swings on anything that wasn't a fastball. That means people are not going to be throwing him a lot of fastballs because he can't hit anything but. He still hit the ball extremely hard when he did connected. 295 he hit. His batting average was 295 away and 244 at home at Dodger Stadium. He still hits in the middle of the lineup. Played in 110 games this year. Now, Tim Anderson, I know I'm not going to be able to say anything nice about this guy. I don't like him. I think he's just way too high on himself for what he does. I mean, if you're going to have an attitude like his, you're going to need to perform a little better, right? The thing about Tim Anderson is that there's not a lot of available shortstops on the market. So I think that even though he had such a horrific, probably the worst season of his career, he's still going to be looked at because the shortstop market is very slim to none. He stayed with the White Sox and he kept hitting everything into the ground. He's also showing reduced bat speed. Plus, he's a good base runner statistically. But his power has evaporated over the last 2 seasons, and he could only hit fastballs this year. That means, once again, don't expect these pitchers to throw him any fastballs. They're going to be throwing this guy sinkers, curves, sliders, whatever it is. Other than a fastball, he's not going to get many. The free agent shortstop market, I said, is bare. So the teams are going to have to make him an offer. He's lucky for that. Because I could name a couple of seasons just in the past 5 seasons that we've seen like 6 or 7 good shortstops available. And Tim Anderson just happens to get so lucky because there's not a lot of them on the market. Number 23, Jordan Hicks. All right. His results this year finally matches his high leverage stuff. He appeared close to being designated for assignment after a rough introduction to the season, but he then turned around doing some of the best relief work in baseball the rest of the way. He remains a flame-throwing sinker baller who suppresses quality of contact. The main differences this year were that he threw a career-high rate of strikes and missed more bats than usual. What do you think of Jordan Hicks? Is he going to get a job as a closer next year? 24, Teoscar Hernandez, bat-first corner infielder who relies entirely on loud contact. Now, it's fair to say that Hernandez has a limited skill set. He knows how to use his barrel with about half his batted balls clocking in at 95 miles an hour or faster. He doesn't mind the strike zone. He often strikes. Accordingly, he's a threat to horrendous strikeout to walk ratios, but his defensive work is no good too, okay? So here's the thing with Teoscar Hernandez. He hits. He could get 25 plus home runs. I know a lot of us thought he was going to approach 30, 35 home runs. He absolutely has the power, but that is his best asset. He's got a 330 plus batting average on balls in play, and it needs to stay there just to be on the right side of average. So what are we paying for Teoscar? Does it matter where he goes? I think his power is the type of power that will hit well in any ballpark. When he does make contact and hit the ball right with his barrel, it will go out of any ballpark. So does it really matter if he gets put in a ballpark like Miami or San Francisco?
Stop at 25.
That's all I got, 25. Oh, my last one? Lenny's telling me I have to stop at 25?
Yeah.
What do you think in the chat room? Should I stop at 25? I only have 25.
Oh, that's what you have?
Yeah. Mitchell Hartson says Teoscar Hernandez is worth $12. Eddie Heckman, can you see Hernandez in Baltimore? Sip of coffee. Okay, Kenta Maeda. Here's my last one for the free agents. And next week we'll have to come up with something else to talk about. But I'll have a whole list of something else that we can go through because we are preparing for next season in this chat room. We do baseball every day of the week, Monday through Monday, 9 a.m. here in the chat room. You can always catch us live at LennyMelnickFantasySports.com/live, or you can always listen on demand at any one of your podcast providers. But the most fun is had right here in the chat room with SM King Turd and Mal Pal and the rest of my friends. Chris from Cambridge, Danny Fuller, the captain, Eddie Heckman, Chris and Debbie Gallo, Chris from Cambridge, Boston Paul, Leonard Donaldson, Laura, Mary, Mal Pal, Mitchell, Rotorius, Turd, and the rest. Triple play. Great to see ya.
And you get the phone numbers.
And you get phone numbers, but it's okay. Nobody called us. I'm surprised. We don't get crank calls, but we get a lot of scammer calls. A lot of telemarketer calls, and I doubt that's from putting our phone number in the chat. Kenta Maeda. All right, the guy's got age problems, injury history. Those two things are a little scary, but he does still get results. He's turning 36 come April. He has experienced his share of physical ailments during his career in the States. He's produced whenever he's been healthy, and that's good enough to rank in the top half of this class. His approach is all about accentuating his strengths and hiding his weaknesses. He doesn't have a good fastball, so he throws it in the third. He throws the fastball the third most often of his pitches behind his splitter and his slider, and it works for him, even if it doesn't work for other pitchers. He will likely have to settle for a short-term arrangement, which, what's so wrong with that? I guess if you're 35 years old, there's a problem with that, but that's how teams are going about contracts now, which is smart for everybody involved. Whatever team lands Maeda should be adding at least a league average starter to their rotation. We don't know how many games he'll stay healthy, but Kenta Maeda. Also, Mitch likes to add here that Maeda is a quality starting pitcher. He's willing to pay $10, and Mitch says he helped him after he came off the injured list, and that's the thing about Maeda. When he's healthy, he is absolutely helpful to fantasy, and Mitchell Hartson adds that his K rate has improved late in his career, and Baltimore needs a number 1 and a number 2 starter. Get ready to open your wallets, Baltimore. SM King Turd says Nola would be good get for Baltimore. How about Bauer? I think he should get a job, and he'd be good for any team. The Dodgers could have used him. The Braves could have used him. Anyways, enough about that. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thanks for sending me the tidbit about the woman who struck out both Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth. She was only... Let me read that again. It's worth it. All right? It's worth it. What female pitcher once struck out Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig? Jackie Mitchell. The 17-year-old Jackie Mitchell pitched against the New York Yankees on April 2, 1931. She faced both Ruth and Lou Gehrig and struck them both out, becoming the Depression-era's overnight sports sensation. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow. Lady and the Legend. Have a great day.